Hi and welcome back to another income report video, this time for February. And in this video I'm going to be sharing with you the royalties I generated from self-publishing on Amazon. And for those who don't know, I self-publish books on Amazon KDP, and those are primarily low and medium content books. So journals, notebooks, planners, and some colouring and activity books. I started on Amazon in late 2019, just to give you some context for how long I've been doing this. And if you're interested in my previous income reports, I will leave a link to those in the description of this video. So let me know how your February was. I'm not really in the Valentine's niche, so I can never really rely on Valentine's to boost up the February sales. However, it wasn't clickbait. I did actually make $1,100 in one day, and that was the very last day of February. And the previous day before was also quite good. So let me know if any of you experienced this as well. This was the last 2 days of February. If you saw a boost, because I know sometimes that happens and it seems to be a reporting delay or something like that. In this case, it was quite strange for me because it was mainly down to one book, and that book doesn't normally sell. And it looked like it had a bulk order, but this was actually a brand new book that I published in Q4 last year. And I will talk more about that a bit further on in the video because it's not one of the ones that we're selling. But ultimately, those last 2 days in February really boosted up the overall royalties for that month. So I haven't published any books since Q4. I do have 3 books that I'm working on right now, which are part of the same brand that I started in Q4. So those new books that I published, but they have not been finished yet. So I've actually been spending more time doing print on demand, which maybe is not the best use of my time, but it's just something that I've been enjoying to do. So I'm definitely not kind of raking in the sales or anything, but I've not been producing that many designs. I find it quite slow to upload. I know I should probably be using a tool or something. I've only been using Merch by Amazon and Redbubble, but even then it's very slow. I do have a premium account on Redbubble, so I don't have any of the fees or anything associated with it, so that's okay. But I definitely don't sell very much on there at all. Merch is a bit better, but not very much. But I only have about 260 odd designs, and that's not very many at all for merch. I mean, you really need thousands these days, I believe, to see any kind of traction. But still, there are people making money on it, especially if you're going after trends and things, which isn't really something that I wanted to do. And it might seem that I'm bouncing around from one thing to another. With last year I was doing Etsy for a bit and I did see some success, and then that kind of fell apart and I also got bored with it, which happens to me a lot. If you if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll probably notice that I do tend to start different things. And KDP is the one thing that's really stuck with me throughout several years. But I do think it's actually important to try new things because that's how you can learn what you do like and what you don't. You might find out that you have a massive passion for something else and you'll become obsessed with that, which is what really happened to me with KDP, because I was doing other things and I saw this opportunity. I decided to go for it, became totally obsessed over a period of time, and that's how I ended up ultimately doing well from it, because I was really driven and focused to do it. Now that I have hundreds of books on there, I feel like I have more of a space to try other things as well. Although I'm obviously still working on books now, I spend a lot more time on them than I did originally. It's all about trying to find a balance really, because obviously there's only a certain number of hours in the day. And would my time probably be better off on KDP? Yes, but at the same time, I'm really keen to have other income sources apart from Amazon. And also, I've been toying with the idea of TikTok, which I absolutely hate, but using it to promote books and other products if I go down that road, such as print on demand products, and using it to promote a brand. So, if anyone has used TikTok to promote their products or to build a brand, let me know in the comments how it worked for you. And also, if you recommend any courses or any YouTube channels or TikTok channels or accounts. Do you even call it TikTok channels? I don't know. Okay, so I will go on now to share my total royalties that I made in February. So in total, then I made $8,347, and that's before ads and expenses, with the 2 highest days being right at the end of the month. So if it hadn't been for those 2 days, the month would definitely have looked quite different. And I had a look on Amazon and it appeared that there were two orders. One was for 115 copies and one was for 87 copies of this one book. And that was on the same day. So presumably that was from the same company, whoever ordered it, as both orders were on that same day. I'd be really interested to know who bought that many copies of this book. But I'd love to say this started a trend and that this book is starting to sell now, but it's gone straight back to the way it was the day later. So it sells every now and again, but it's not selling multiple copies a day. And this is one of the new books I published in Q4, not the one that did really well, because I had one that did really well and was one of the main sellers in December. But the another one I had, I think it was like the 13th bestseller. So I think it made a few $100s or something. So to randomly sell that many in one day was strange. But that is what happens sometimes. I've had that happen with other books before that don't sell that much and then sell 100 copies or whatever. So it just goes to show you never really know. While I think it's fine, obviously, to go after niches and keywords that you think are going to be profitable, at the same time, creating books that you're inspired to do as well, that you're just interested in doing, just books that you want to create, I do recommend trying it because I've had various books that I didn't really research that much and ended up selling really well. Whereas there are some niches I've gone into that I've been sure should do really, really well because there's low competition, but it seems like there's a really high demand. And some of those situations I've gone in and really not sold anything. So you don't know. You have to try things out. So I will show you how much I made the previous year by comparison. So in the previous year, I made 6,563 with the highest day being $458. So I actually made $1,784 less last year, but I did spend a considerable amount less on ads. I spent less than $300 in ads in the previous year, and this year I spent nearly 3 times that amount. So I will show you how much that was in a moment. And you can see that last February is quite different. So you can never really predict how one month is going to go to the next. Okay, so now I'll go on to share my ad spend. So these were my ads in February. So I spent £266 in the UK, $460 in the US, $62 in Canada, and $22 in Australia. That is Australian dollars. And I have been feeling a bit lost with ads recently. The ads that used to work in the US has become unpredictable. One month they're working well, the next month they're not. And while the overall ACOS is 34% in the US, some of those ads they're actually running quite a bit higher than that. So it's very difficult to optimize them as well because they have been so up and down. So one half of the month they might be on 60%, the next half it could be 15%. It's just really random. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced that. And also, as you can see, in Australia, the ACOS was 86%. Now, fortunately, I only spent 22 Australian dollars, which is a really low amount. But if you did watch my income report for January, you'll see that I turned off most of my ads in Australia because the ACOS was running high. But then I just left this one ad running because it's one that always seemed to do okay. Took my eye off it for a bit and then I didn't realise until the end of the month that it was on over 80%. So the weird thing is that I did leave it on and now it seems to be back to normal again. So I have no idea what's going on. I think I have taken my eye off the ball as far as ads go recently, but just because it's been so unpredictable, I found it quite hard to know what I should be doing. If I should be changing anything, if I should just be leaving it and seeing if it irons out. It's difficult to say. And I would like to reduce my ad spend a little bit in the US. It was quite high this month. So the total ad spend in February was $855, which is pretty high in comparison to what it was last year. And last year, the total ad spend was $276, so quite a lot less. As far as tools go, nothing really has changed much. I'm still on the low tier for Midjourney right now, but I have ChatGPT as well, which includes DALL-E 3, so that's worked out fine for the most part. I do prefer Midjourney images for certain things, so I'm glad that I still have Midjourney as well, but using both together have actually worked really well, especially as I do copy some of the DALL-E prompts and then I'll try them in Midjourney just as a comparison. And also because DALL-E does create these square images rather than the different ones that you can create in Midjourney. So sometimes I'll ask DALL-E 3 to try and come up with different prompts, and then I'll use those in Midjourney. And all the other tools are basically pretty similar, so that's about $110. The profit in February then was around 7,382 after expenses and ads, and that's not what I take home. Of course, I do have to pay taxes and pay for various other tools as well for things outside of KDP that I use, but ultimately, all in all, it was a good result for February. So I'll leave it there for now. Let me know how everything is going for you now that we're already partway through March as I record this. And thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your week, and I will speak to you again very soon.